Liberals hate America. They hate our country. They hate our military. And those players, how dare they disrespect this flag? That is why I am no longer a liberal. They hate this lovely country. So, do liberals hate America? Do libertarians, conservatives, do those players who dare kneel for the national anthem hate America? If anything, the war profiteers really hate America and our troops. So I hear from neoconservatives, if you don't want us to overspend on the military, you hate America, you support the terrorists. If you don't want us going in and being the world police, you hate America, you hate the troops. But invading foreign countries, doesn't that kill our troops? Or leave them with permanent injuries and give them post-traumatic stress disorder? So wouldn't it be better to not send them overseas and invade countries? By the way, by invading other countries and killing thousands of civilians, you're tainting our reputation and our flag's reputation. So when foreigners look at our flag, they think of the marauders who killed thousands of civilians. You think the people of My Lai look at the American flag and go, I love that flag? Or do you think they look at the American flag and think of the people who savagely massacred thousands of Vietnamese soldiers until a helicopter pilot came in and said, you want to kill these people? You have to get through me, and save their lives. You think the people of Iraq, Cambodia, Laos, Syria, Somalia, Libya, Afghanistan look at our flag in a positive light? Or do you think that since we invaded those countries, killed thousands of civilians, they see our flag as something evil in a negative light? If it's that hard for you, you should really inform yourself, because African American players kneeling during the national anthem is the least of your concerns if you're concerned about loving America. Those players actually want to bring about positive change, and you kick them when they're down, but then you go, let's cheerlead the next war that kills thousands of civilians. Do you really love America? Yeah, that's some real love for your servicemen, getting them killed. Oh, but you love our vets so much that you're willing to get them killed over live. Saddam Hussein was not involved in 9/11. He did not have weapons of mass destruction. It was all lies told by neoconservatives like Cheney and Bush. But, the liberals and libertarians, they support terrorism. Neoconservatives committed terrorism. Before we move on, I just want to remind you the reasons I'm walking away from the Republican Party. They're economic failures, they're bigots, and they're corrupt. I'm walking away from the two-party duopoly because the Democrats don't do a good job at cleaning up. They're also corrupt and help in many ways with the failures. And sometimes they sacrifice their values for money. Republicans' values is based solely on money. That is why we have this problem. So in this video, we're going to talk about the hawkish warmongering in both parties and why we should reject the two-party duopoly. especially neoconservatism from the Republican Party. So I'll go back to the 1950s. In his farewell address, Dwight Eisenhower warned of a military-industrial complex, and that if and the dangers of hyperinflating the military budget. He said we could either spend money on bombs or schools. And Dwight Eisenhower even campaigned on a position of peace, and he was the supreme Allied commander during World War II. In fact, going back to 1968 election in the last video, Nixon even campaigned that he would end the Vietnam War, though it was a lie and he ended up prolonging it. And his good old buddy committed some of the worst war crimes in American history, only to later be topped by Cheney and Bush. That's right, Henry Kissinger, Nixon's Secretary of State, the mastermind behind the Vietnamese secret bombing campaigns that made Anthony Bourdain ashamed to be an American. Going back to Eisenhower, he warned of a war machine president like Bush, and that if we give unlimited weapons to a maniac or someone incompetent, it would result in disaster. How would Dwight Eisenhower predict the predicament we're in now with people like Bush? But this whole anti-American sentiment, if you don't support never-ending war, it comes from people like John McCain and the other neocons in Washington. In fact, John McCain, as we recall in 2015, threatened to have Code Pink protesters arrested because they wanted Henry Kissinger to answer for his war crimes. Such a patriot, John, not wanting war criminals brought to justice. Dick Cheney, another top neocon in the country, mastermind behind the Iraq War, an illegal war, by the way, and he wanted to hyperinflate the military budget over Russian hacking, even though he was a Trump supporter. John Bolton, Trump's new national security advisor. What happened, Donald? I thought you were a man of peace. I thought the Iraq War was a bad decision. Why are you having one of the architects in your cabinet? Oh, you were lying? Ugh. Even Alex Jones owns it against war. And last but not least, Lindsey Graham, who last August said that the best way to handle North Korea is to destroy it, and if thousands die, they're dying over there, not over here. Who cares? Such great people, right? But you know it's bad when Dwight Eisenhower, a decorated war hero, would be called a terrorist sympathizer for wanting to decrease the military budget to spend on better things. Oh, and by the way, our military budget is inching towards $1 trillion as concerns of the federal deficit grow. But now I'm going to pull these graphs up again because you look at the United States spending on military, and then you look at China, which is in second. None of those countries come even close. The United States, as I pointed out in my first video, could cut their military budget in half, and they'd still spend more than China. We don't need $640 billion to keep our country safe. If we could have a safe country with half of that, we could use the rest of that money to spend on the stuff that makes our lives better. Universal health care, tuition-free college, you name it. For the price of one Iraq war, we could have paid for 20 years of tuition-free college. But all these Republicans and even Democrats will say, we can't afford that, and then throw money away on the military. And the Mick resistance, they say that Trump is too unhinged to have a military budget. You know, the most recent military budget was an 82-10 vote. So Democrats voted to give a madman a hyperinflated military budget. What kind of resistance is that? But according to neoconservatives, the best way to love America is to throw our money away on war and blindly support every war. Oh, how lovely. Thank you, Dick. You and your administration. Isn't it the worst of my lifetime? Thanks to your blunder in Iraq, NSA spying. Oof. Luckily, you had a man as dumb as George W. Bush to carry out all your stupid plans. Oh, but this whole sentiment, if you don't support war, you're against America. And by the way, the war machine is bipartisan, and perpetual war is bipartisanly supported. Remember what Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama did in Libya? Because I do. Oh, and then, conservatives whine about how the military was depleting under Obama. Ain't that right, John? Yes. It went up under Obama. It continued to increase under Obama. Actually, it's been going up since Reagan. This never-ending support for the war machine. The nightmare that Dwight Eisenhower predicted. And yet we give the neocons in Washington so much power and influence. But oh, you guys kneeling at the flag, you're the ones disrespecting the flag, not the people who say, let's kill thousands of civilians in other countries. And yet, we're supposed to love our country? For the record, never-ending war is the top reason that Americans are not proud of being Americans. And it was actually what garnered support for Donald Trump, because he said these never-ending wars were bad ideas. Remember what he tweeted about Syria? But now he's bombing Syria under the guise of his new advisor, John Bolton. But these guys, they hate America because they're actually protesting, using their First Amendment rights to protest during the national anthem to bring about positive change in America. The reason they're protesting is to spread awareness of racial discrimination that's still taking place, police brutality, and our two-tiered justice system, and mass incarceration. They're trying to raise a fuss about issues that matter and trying to bring about positive change. And all of the people who say, how dare they, are the people who are bringing about negative change around the world and destroying our reputation as the leaders of the free world every time they invade another country to prevent democracy from taking its place. My God, what kind of predicament are we in now? I wish we had people like Bobby Kennedy still around. Luckily, his kids are active and supporting the right side of history, while the neocons ramp up the war machine and support 75% of the world's dictatorships and continue to want to overthrow dictatorships in favor of other dictatorships that support U.S. But that's one of the big issues I look at when I go to vote, is what's this candidate's stance on foreign policy? And that's one of the reasons I like Bernie Sanders so much, because he is for peace and non-intervention. And to some extent, that is why I've always respected Ron Paul, because he's another guy who stood for peace and intervention, and they both opposed the Iraq War. Though I disagree with Ron Paul a lot more than I do Bernie Sanders, and don't even get me started on his most recent controversy. Yeah, this tweet. I'm not going to rationalize this tweet, I'm not going to justify it, but I still take Ron Paul over Republicans. And actually, the first presidential candidate I voted for was Gary Johnson. And that is because he was a non-interventionist. And I was lured into the libertarianism, socially liberal and fiscally conservative. And not only that, but Gary did that ad where he went over where he and Bernie Sanders agreed upon, and one of the big agreements they had was they were against more war and perpetual war, and both Hillary and Donald were pro-war people, even though Trump would try to sugarcoat it. It's like, I was never for the Iraq War, it was a big mistake. He turns around the next day and says he'll bomb the shit out of ISIS. But yes, I was lured into Gary Johnson because of where he and Bernie Sanders agreed. Now, I have rejected libertarianism because I realize how nutty it is and how it doesn't work. That's a subject for another video. But I like libertarian foreign policy. But you know our foreign policy predicament is really bad. And I mean really bad. Because recently, Cenk Uygur, host of the Young Turks, openly admitted on his program that he agrees with Alex Jones on foreign policy. At least the Syrian bombing. Now Alex is quiet about Trump's other foreign policy disasters, and Cenk is not. But when he says that he agrees with Alex Jones on foreign policy, you know our foreign policy. You know what? Cenk might actually be saying, told you so. In fact, he is, to people who supported the Iraq War, left and right. Actually, I wouldn't say they were leftists who supported it. Centrists and center-right people. But Cenk is saying, told you so, to people like Glenn Beck, who famously said, liberals, you were right about Iraq. What did they tell you? By the way, cable news was all in favor of the Iraq War. CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. And Cenk's also saying, told you so, to Rush Limbaugh, who created an awesome conspiracy theory around the Iraq War. It's hilarious that Rush is sounding so much like Alex Jones. But yeah, these guys don't hate America. Liberals don't hate America. Libertarians don't hate America. The only people who really, truly hate America are war profiteers and neoconservatives who have forever pushed endless wars and tried to find any reason to go to war, whether it be make-believe weapons of mass destruction, make-believe ties to terrorism. Keep in mind, these are all economic wars. We invaded Iraq for the oil. We invaded Libya because they went off the petrodollar. We went to war with North Vietnam to stop the spread of communism. And Nixon prolonged it because he wanted to win the war. And the Iraq War was purely based on lies just to get Saddam Hussein's oil. By the way, here's the fun fact. Saddam Hussein was our guy. He was put in power by our CIA. I'll put a link in the description box below. But he was put in power by the United States. That's some real love for America right there. Putting in brutal dictators just to stop communism and for economic reasons. But yeah, walk away from neoconservatism like I did. Walk away from the Republicans. I'd love to say walk away from the two-party duopoly, but as long as we have it, there is one party that's completely lost its mind. That's the Republicans. Neoconservatives are crazier than Alex Jones. Yes, I said that. And Cenk Uygur will back me up in saying that neoconservatives are crazier than Alex Jones. But the neoliberals are part of the problem, and so are conservatives. Liberals and libertarians are here to save America from brownbacks, neocons. Go to your safe spaces, you right-wingers who are so triggered by this video. Here's a nice little GIF for you. Yeah, whine, you right-wingers. How long was it before a left-winger found out how to use your stupid hashtag? And by the way, believe in free speech, so allow leftists to tell their walkaway stories. Like, share, subscribe. Even conservatives will find content they like on this channel because I talk about entertainment and whatnot.